Welcome in to the Weekly Doots. This is the Weekly Doots live stream, and it's all about showcasing the best of the week from the Ethfinance community on Reddit. This is a read-along read and reaction series, and if you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com, designed and produced by our very own Hanniabu. And while you're at it, go grab today's POAP. It's a humdinger. He whipped it out in no time. And big thanks to Tricky Troll, as always, for capturing all of these daily doots. And, of course, the A word for curating this lovely, beautifully hand-selected weekly top doots list. So we're going to jump right into the leaderboard. First of all, I want to show you this sick POAP you can get for today's episode. This is the last one of the year for the year of 2023. And awesome. So if you want to grab that on the Arbitrum network, it's pretty cheap, less than $5. And other proceeds stay with the Mavericks, and we'll figure out something to do with it later on. So go grab that if you want. We are going to go straight into our leaderboard at number 10, Scientist at 59, K-Brod at 60, Hanniabu is at 63, Set One Less at 68, 696 at 76, Tricky Troll at 76. Oh, they're neck and neck. Crypto Currency sitting at 86, and Benito 2030 at 89. Logri the Bard climbing up to 94, and Super Fizz tops our list out. The Everlasting Man himself at 152. So there you have it. Now we're going to go into our upcoming guests and our announcements. January 5th, we have Lantern Finance coming back again. I have actually deposited on Lantern Finance, and it's really like the smoothest staking as a service out there as far as I'm concerned. It was super easy to do the KYC, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I'm just happy to give voice to a smaller staking as a service protocol out there and give us some options, anything that will help decentralize Ethereum. All right, Morning Trinity. We have DeFacti Cool, says Ethereum. Frank the Tank chiming in at 2355. These numbers, wow. It's awesome. And Alexis Kef is at 0.055 on the ratio. So the ratio is bounced off of that magic 0.05 mark. I think somebody drew a triangle and it broke below 0.05 and landed at 0.49 there briefly for a bit. But here we are. It looks like a pretty good bottom. Hopefully that's in. And looks like our bull market is back. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe you don't celebrate too early, you know? We love our bull markets. You know, it always feels like they last 30 days, right? But I think this time is different, right? New paradigm, you know, whatever that chart is. Wow, great crowd here. Welcome in Algo from Palisades, Austin ST, Dr. Bear, Golfer P, Craftaverk, Logri the Bard is back, Hayward sitting there, as well as Treebeard. So awesome. Morning Trinity, we did that. Let's go on to our weekly Haiku JS tiers, turning up the crowd. BlackRock goes blockchain allowed. Excitement allowed. Man, okay, so we got a haiku and then we got allowed and allowed. What is that called? Simile? No, that's not it. Not a metaphor, not a noun. Okay, I didn't go past third grade in my English lesson. But anyway, great haiku, JS Tears. How does he do it? How does he do it? The ship post of the week, Super Fizz. Oh, here we go. Of course, I have not read through these. There's only one dude this week that I nominated personally because I thought it was worthy of a weekly attention, but I don't read these ahead of time. We all get to do it together. So Super Fizz got our ship post of the week. Grifting 101. Number one, find the grift. Contrary to popular belief, you never need to start your own grift. Just find one that's in progress and join in. Number two, fill your bags. It's extremely important that you fill before you shill. That needs to be a bumper sticker. If you're joining the grift too late, you're only going to be exit liquidity. So it's important that you join a grift as early as possible. Bonus points here if you're an accredited investor and you can buy into the grift early before the retail investors. You're going to need them later. Number three, buy the narrative. It doesn't really matter what the narrative is. Faster than Bitcoin, cheaper smart contracts, tons of partnerships, a new banking system, Visa level capacity, whatever. It doesn't matter what the grift is. It's as long as you know it. The best grifts include promises of future activity and unlocks. Number 4, shill like your life depends on it. This is where you really earn your money. Just like any Ponzi, you need to convince everyone to buy into the grift because you need the price to go up and you need tons of exit liquidity so you don't get dumped on. You need to tap into all the socials you can. And even better if you can get podcast YouTube hits. Use whatever tactics work for you. Education, insight, sarcasm, humor, it doesn't matter. The goal is just to saturate the ecosystem with discussion about the grift. It doesn't matter whether the traffic is flattering or not. You're just looking for saturation. And if you do a good job, you'll get free rent in everyone's mind. And you'll amplify the power of the shill. My God, Superfizz put a lot of work into this. This is awesome. Number 5, wait for the flywheel to kick in. With enough social activity, the flywheel will eventually kick in. This means that the price will go parabolic because social work has made everyone aware of the grift. And when they see price movement, they'll have FOMO and buy in. The moment the flywheel effect kicks in, you've got to be on your toes to prepare your exit. This is where retail investors are critical. You're looking for dudes who want to make quick buck and put all of their faith in charts. These are the guys who will put their fun money into the grift in hopes of maybe buying a car or something with the money they make. Number 6, the parabolic spike game of chicken. Timing here is critical. Venture capitalists and angel investors are primed to dump hard. So since you're lower on the food train, you'll need to dump first. This is the game of chicken. You need to dump before everyone else does. This is pretty easy. Take 10x and get the hell out of there. No one wants to be left holding this worthless shit. If you're a dumbass, you'll hold too long and be the exit liquidity. If this happens once, you'll survive. But if this happens more than once, you need to quit grifting. You're not a grifter. You're just dumb exit liquidity. Number 7, the crash will come, but you'll have made a F-ton of money, and you're sitting pretty, but you can't stop now. If you only survive one grift, you'll die poor. The crash requires a lot of continued social activity to simultaneously convince all of your followers that you were duped just like them, but also that you made a ton of money. You've got to maintain your credibility if you're going to grift again. Don't blow this step. Your followers need to build faith in your ability during this stage. And finally, number 8. Okay, so you completed a successful grift. Congratulations. You might get 5 to 6 grift cycles out of the same coin if the climate is right. This is harder if the grift had promises of future activity, but those are really sweet because you make a lot more money on it. Most grifters will take a month off before spending another 6-month cycle pumping the next grift. In that month off, they'll reestablish their credibility by promoting solid assets like Ether. So, I mean, grifters really are good folks after all, right? Bravo, Superfizz. Holy smokes. That was an epic shit post for real. That was really good.
I feel like we all know most of that, but it's nice to have like a checklist there I can point to be like, okay, we're at number 3, right? Like when you see it happening, you can just kind of like say, here is where you are, right? In the process of being grifted. Some idiot on CT.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and you notice also there seems to be a careful balance between reporters and journalists and grifters and influencers. Like there's this, it's just a game, and it's not just in crypto. I mean, it flows through any market, right? But boy, it's a special kind of crazy. It's almost like grifting gets a pass in crypto because everyone knows that most of it is a straight up just, rug before you get rugged environment. And a lot of people are fine with that. It's the gamble, the opportunity, but it's hard to take the technology serious when you watch it from a distance because it's so prevalent. I mean, crypto Twitter is the noise that we all have to endure if you try to go, learn something over there. Excellent. All right. We'll move on here. Oh, shit. Here we go. Logri the Bard, speaking of which, explains Gearbox version 3. As ever, I wish we had more discussion around here about app developments on Ethereum rather than whatever the depressive topics have been the past few days. God, well said. In the spirit of being the change I want to see in the world, let me plug Gearbox version 3. Basically, Gearbox is a leverage application that removes the leverage component from the underlying application and allows you to apply leverage using DeFi Legos on their own. Think of it like modular DeFi. The key insight that enabled leverage is that when you borrow funds, the funds aren't given to you. They are held in escrow by the protocol, so you can't just run off with them. Now, there's no sense having the protocol just hold on to borrowed funds. The reason you're borrowing is to do something. So, since you aren't being given the funds the protocol has to do that something on your behalf. For older leverage applications, the something they would do on your behalf was the application. You could use Dydex and get leverage price exposure to an asset, but the leverage was tightly coupled to a DEX. This leads to liquidity fragmentation. While the nature of the price exposure mechanism changed with apps like GMX, perps still tightly coupled the liquidity source for leverage with their application. By contrast, Gearbox allows you to execute leverage strategies that actually execute against Curve or Uniswap. To execute a strategy with Gearbox, you put up your collateral, borrow the funds required to execute your strategy, and then execute it using a plugin to any DeFi application they support. For example, if you wanted to go 3x long, you could put up 1x collateral, borrow 3x, whatever you're shorting, swap to 3x of your long asset using any supported DEX, and hold that position while paying interest on the borrow. When plugged into something like Aave, this also lets you do fancy stuff like profit from interest rate spreads or leverage your way into a Curve LP yearn pool, which auto compounds rewards back to you. The potential here is open-ended and incredible. Gearbox version 3 does a few cool things. First, it allows borrowers to have better granularity on which position is secured by which collateral. The basic idea is they create a smart contract with your name on it that is executed according to a strategy you configure. Second, it enables lenders to underwrite their own risk and choose what types of risk their funds are exposed to. This is a common trend I've seen lately in DeFi. We are steadily moving away from pooling everyone into the same risk bracket and moving towards programmable money where everyone can adjust their own risk. If you have time, I suggest you dig in or, try it yourself. It's far more fun to focus on exciting things happening at home than to focus on narrative noise from crypto Twitter and bring it here. And Logri has several links within this post that you can find at dailydoots.com. Logri, you're in the crowd. Do you want to add to this? Thank you for your post.
Nope, pretty much covered it. I think we should talk more about applications. This is a cool application. I don't see talked about enough.
All right. Thank you very much. Excellent. Gearbox version 3, if you want to check it out.
I agree with Logri. Sorry. But yeah, I agree with Logri. There's a lot of cool applications out there. There's a lot of cool, novel protocols that I think maybe by themselves are not so cool, but when hooked together in unique ways, this really shows the cool potential of Ethereum and, EVM in general and smart contract blockchain networks. I agree with Logri 100%.
Algo, thanks for chiming in. That's Algo from Palisades. Thank you. Defacti Cool shares their experience getting fished, so you don't have to. All right. So I got hacked for the first time. Well, hacked, air quotes. I accidentally approved something in MetaMask that allowed them to take all my ETH and one NFT. That's like $24,000 USD worth in total, which isn't the end of the world, luckily enough. Luckily, my main stack isn't on this address. Yes, good boy. I got fooled because I was trying to do the frame airdrop. Gosh dang it. I saw this. Sorry, I'm interjecting here. I think I posted something in the daily or talked about it somewhere. Like there's a frame NFT project and then there's a frame wallet, obvious project out there too. And something was getting convoluted between the two. But yeah, I think it was this frame NFT side of it, not the wallet. I got fooled because I was trying to do the frame airdrop, and when looking at their Twitter, the correct Twitter, a fake frame account with a check mark, thanks for that, Elon, were in their replies, and I wasn't observant enough. Idiotic of me. But anyway, I still want to utilize this address to claim airdrops and the like, but I obviously can't do so when I have this hanging over it. I'm looking at the approvals checker on Etherscan, but I can't find any approvals I did today or any access given today. So this fraudulent access approval isn't there. Does anyone else know how I do or how I should remove access from the address? Thanks for any help. And there's an edit here. I suppose it doesn't matter. Here's my address. After looking, it doesn't seem like I have any offending approvals. Is it possible for official edit number 2? The offending transactions seem to have been these ones in chronological order. There's links to Etherscan. To finish up, what I'm worried about now is that the scammer can repeat the same function in order to drain my address again in the future. If I fill it with some Eat for gas, for example. If anyone with that or above my hobbyist level of ability could help me tell anything in these transactions that point to being repeatable, I would greatly appreciate it. Why don't we just open up this on Reddit to see who replied and go from there. Defacti Cool is a level 8 duder. Let's see. You could try the White Hat Token Rescue Service on the Flashbots Discord. I got similarly owned for 40K once. Damn. And what really bothers me is thinking that some North Koreans probably got it. Okay, Fimar Hal, good. Duder 38, Fimar Hal's OG. It looks like they got you. Send your PINGU, PINGU, to them through the OpenSea bulk transfer function. Approve the ARPL token through the permit standard. This would have been a signature without a transaction. This is why we don't spot an approval change. And number 3, sign a fake claim function, which sent them your ETH. Does this meet what you recall? Okay, it goes on from there. It looks like your approvals are pretty lean, and you revoked the Aave token, certainly way above my pay grade as well. Hanniabu chimed in. Hanniabu Duder 63. If I really wanted the user address, like he said, I'd send 0.05 to the address and leave it for a bit to see what happens. Gonna bait them, huh? Maybe you can start lower and work your way up. But I'd be concerned about it not being above some threshold they have set. Yes, this was a dodgy frame.xyz link going around. I think we removed it anyway. It was this tweet specifically, blah, blah, blah. It's a scammy link. I don't know, man. It's above my pay grade. I don't know if anybody in the audience has anything to add. Can a wallet address be stained to be forever, in contract approval limbo, for lack of a better word? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, if you do if you revoke all the stuff, I don't know why you couldn't continue to use the address, but what do I know? I've been hacked twice. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing. You should be able to revoke, but like Treebeard said, it could have been a permit, not approval.
Shit. Freaking industry sometimes. Moving on. I'm sorry about your losses, man. That's tough. 25 grand or whatever. Okay, Harog has a post about wallet security and phishing protect. Here we go again. Phishing protection, which you simply can't miss. Harog says there have been too many people being scammed out of some of their crypto holdings with the recent Frame airdrop. Here we go again. The Frame airdrop is legit. There are just too many fake claim websites wanting your money. If you use the network, please consider installing or enabling transaction previews. This helps you understand what you're actually signing before it gets broadcasted. I'm going to shill for the lattice one. If you're curious, you could go to the website, get the contract address for the real airdrop, and then save it as a label, and that way you see what you're signing on the screen. It's just one more step. I mean, don't click on shit on Twitter, people, Rabby Wallet has this included in their wallet already. It's on the very paranoid side, so maybe you start clicking with the warnings away automatically after some time. MetaMask Snaps, which provide this. I shortly tested Wallet Guard, which actually does the job. I'm sure there are other good options in their security section. snaps.metamask.io/explore. Install an additional extension like Pocket Universe or Fire. I use both of them in parallel for many months now. Every time I receive a signing request, they pop up and inform me about what I'm going to sign. All of these solutions put another actor in your signing process, which could get attacked. Be aware of that. I am also not sure how much information is shared with whom in all of these solutions. Interesting point. The additional extensions have served me well in the last months in combination with the Frame wallet. I think the Rabby wallet is the most user-friendly one, but a bit too paranoid for my taste, especially if you are using very new protocols. I tested all of these solutions on my go-to scam website I found some time ago, a Tornado Cash fork, which wants to steal all of my funds. All of the above solution told me exactly what I signed, and MetaMask even wanted to prevent me from visiting the scam site. That's a good point, too. Adding layers of protection. You don't know what data you're giving them, and if one of those gets compromised, now what? So industry's got some work to do to figure out how to deal with so many scams. I just kind of wish that people would just stop using crypto Twitter and, I don't know, clicking on shit on Twitter in general. I'm talking to the choir, I'm sure. Okay. Excuse me. Cordy Bop 1 shares a big moment there, celebrating on-chain. Ooh, I love celebrations. Yay. Etherscan got married on chain today, huh? What? Let's look at this on Etherscan here. The transaction action. Gabriella Calla and Andre Stefanoval. I hope I'm not butchering. I'm probably butchering your names. Were married on the 21st of December, 2023 in a private civil ceremony held in the backyard of her childhood home. Gabby and Andres met at Washington University in St. Louis and had been dating for 7 years, 3 months, and 11 days. Wow, who's counting? They share a home, 2 kittens, and an eternal love for each other. Well, congrats to you guys. On-chain marriage. That is really cool. Here's their address. Gabby, I wonder if they took in gifts on Etherscan. Gabby Andreas, andreas.eth, if anybody's feeling froggy. Yeah, that's really cool. They just made this address, it looks like, about 8 days ago. All right. Very cool. GabbyAndres.eth. Congrats to you guys. Looks like they have a couple of tokens in there. I wonder if there's like a marriage token, Maybe there's like White Dove coin. Flower Girl coin. Looks like there's $50 or 0.02 ETH in there. About $50 worth. Good. All right. Good for you guys. Congrats. And yeah, very good. That's fun. Strawdar summarizes the new ETH research proposal. So if I'm reading this proposal correctly, beacon stakers would no longer receive MEV awards. MEV relays would sort of be replaced by execution ticket markets. This opens up the possibility to introduce burn on what today is MEV rewards. Block builders would buy execution tickets and run execution proposers. Edit. I think I'm making some assumptions on number 3 because the proposal says this is orthogonal to PBS. So number 3 could involve multiple parties or it could not. Edit number 2. Before stakers get up in arms about MEV rewards going away, this proposal would open up a new avenue for speculation on execution tickets. Explicitly defining an execution proposer lottery allows validators to participate only by choice. If they like the idea of flipping a coin and getting a high-value slot, they are free to buy execution tickets. And edit number 3. More stuff is sinking in now. You could, in theory, choose to run your validators in a mode similar to today by configuring them to purchase an execution ticket for each upcoming slot. But the cost of that ticket will be market-driven, while today they are essentially distributed uniformly and randomly. That's above my pay grade. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, good. Austin, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, this is my wheelhouse a little bit. So one clarification, relays would not go away with this. Instead, so relays would still work with block builders as they do currently, but instead of working with the stakers that we know today, they'd be working with the people who buy the execution tickets. So there's going to be some market for people who think that they have a good idea for which blocks are going to be valuable, and say, okay, I can buy execution tickets, and I think I can make a profit by buying these tickets cheaply, and then I think the block's going to be more valuable, so I'll make a profit off of that. And that PBS block auction would still go through relays as they exist today. And on the topic of MEV burn, yeah, so this would mean that the MEV doesn't go to stakers. Instead, it goes to this new party of people who just speculate on execution tickets and try to play that game of finding blocks where tickets are cheap, but they expect the profits to be high, and that they would need to find some way to predict that in advance. So they'd probably be pretty sophisticated actors. And I know people are potentially up in arms about MEV rewards going away from stakers, but there's a whole discussion there. I know one of the big takeaways I had from DevConnect was that a lot of the Ethereum researchers are thinking we have too many validators today. Too much ETH is locked up in staking. And maybe it's okay to lower the staking rewards for everyone a little bit, if that means keeping the total amount of staked ETH at a lower, more reasonable level. So even though it's not great, and we like making money, but for the health of the network, maybe this is a good thing.
All right. Well, always love it when you're able to chime in with your perspective on something I know you're very passionate about and well researched on. So thank you for joining and telling us your position on this. For the record, Stravdar is a Duder number 5. I didn't do this with QWERTY BOP either. I always like to see where they're at on their Doots counts. QWERTY BOP previous, that was a Duder 1. That was so QWERTY BOP with the big moment they celebrated with their wedding. That was a first time Duder. And then Harog, we know, is up on that list too, but we'll open it up. Harog, I think, is like way up there. 47. Good stuff. Keep it coming. Okay, so Crocodile Mansion. Ooh, man, that's an OG. Crocodile Mansion is like, he's from overseas. I want to say Belgium. But anyway, when I was a teacher years ago, he said, "Hey, I love reading what you write on eTrader," and I was making videos by the fire pit. He's like, "I want to send you some postcards on my travel," because he walked like 500 miles, like across Spain or something. He like did this big journey on foot, and he sent 4 postcards during that time. And wrote a little note on the back. I still have them somewhere, but Crocodile also has his own podcast. It's unrelated to crypto, if I recall. And but it was really good to see his face come back in the daily, like just to come back and say hi. So he's a Duder 13. He says latest on the ETF front, issuers have until next Friday to amend their filings. The SEC wants cash create only and AP agreements. Whoever gets these done will get a go. Also, BlackRock will seed with $10 million on January 3rd, subject to change. They also have an Ether ETF filing. So let's look at the ensuing conversation on Reddit, because I'm curious what others are saying. Yes, my first question. Bart Hibbs says, Duder16, what is an AP agreement? Authorized participant. AP is authorized participant. Davers says, my body is ready. Anyway, so it goes on from there. Yes, it could get real interesting on those grounds. The ETF stuff is obviously one of the most, I think, developmental, exciting, it's kind of like you're kind of connecting the legacy world to the crypto world in a way. It's kind of a stamp of approval that the industry is here to stay, when you're basically allowing all these companies that are worth whatever $10+ trillion of asset custodies to allow the participation of Bob and Alice Boomer into that speculative market. It'll still be speculative, but now it's going to open up a lot of, I think it's going to substantiate it as like a long-term viable product that people can invest in. And I think it's pretty interesting. I know there's going to be double-edged swords about allowing that along the way, and the way it'll affect, regulation moving forward. But I think with BlackRock, I don't know who else, but BlackRock, I think, is partnering with Coinbase Custody on private key holdings and whatnot. So it's Coinbase is quickly becoming established. I mean, they're established now, but I'm talking about like 20 years from now, being here kind of in this beginning stages, but like 20 years from now, what is Coinbase?
Majority of them are actually partnering with Coinbase for custody. Like
majority of them are? Okay.
60 to 75% are doing that. And I know at least one's going with Gemini for custody.
Okay. It's going to make things real interesting moving forward. And I think BlackRock has something like 99% approval rates on ETFs. And, there's some, I don't know. I can't even wrap my head around what could happen in a positive price movement. I mean, just prepare your loins. All right. Master Roshi 9 shares a grounded investment thesis. I want to look at Master Roshi on the Doots chart. 15, Duder 15. If you frequent crypto Twitter and you're feeling doubt about ETH and FOMO or anger over Solana, it's worth checking yourself and asking why you're invested the way you are and why you feel that way. Oh, this is the one that I proposed. Okay, this is a really good post, I thought, anyway. Personally speaking, the vast majority of my stack has been, and will remain ETH, because I can hold it and sleep well at night, expecting it to go up over time with minimal downside risk relative to other crypto assets. It has arguably the best fundamentals of any asset, not only in crypto, but in any market. On short time horizons, it won't always or often perform the best, especially in a bull market where narratives rule the day, but it will provide the best risk-adjusted returns, in my opinion. And wealth preservation can be just as difficult, if not more, than capital appreciation. I'm still buying. Having said that, the recent performance of Solana and other tokens that are purely speculative bets is a great example of why it pays to be open-minded and why it can be helpful to diversify. I maintain a percentage of my portfolio for speculative bets, trading, gambling, etc. It doesn't work for everyone. You have to be honest and cut yourself off if you're just burning capital, but it's fun. It curbs FOMO and ideally lets me capture some additional upside from narratives or short-term plays. I missed Solana, but made some gains on WIF and had some fun shit posting with friends about it in our own internal group chats. Also have some medium-term holds and narratives I plan to dabble in this bull market. It's easy in crypto, especially if you're on crypto Twitter, to feel like you're in a rat race against everyone else. Look at gains someone else has made off of something you consider vaporware and let it upset you. Even easier to let narratives that ETH is dead and that X coin with no fundamentals is the future of France upset you. Don't let it upset you. If you've been here for the bear and have been buying ETH, then hello, you're up too. Normies aren't even here yet. Enjoy the ride. Be happy for newer or smaller participants coming into money for the first time. This is how crypto grows. Most importantly, do not feed into tribal hate. Talking down about the ecosystem that just made users money doesn't attract participants to our own ecosystem or encourage learning. It just pits you against them and feeds into negative sentiment. Be welcoming and focus that energy towards more productive endeavors. Learn from Vitalik. It's impossible to hate a guy that is perpetually positive towards others. And he does an excellent job framing all of crypto as an us versus the them, if I do say so myself. And then there's a link to a tweet. Let's see what this says here. I always like to open these up here and see what Matt Huang says, we could be more like Vitalik today. Vitalik says, Matt says, how are you feeling about U.S. policy approach to crypto? Vitalik's response: the one comment I'll make is that I feel bad that Solana and other projects are getting hit in this way. They don't deserve it. And if Ethereum ends up, quote, winning, unquote, through all other blockchains getting kicked off of exchanges, that's not an honorable way to win. And in the long term, it probably isn't even a victory. This is especially true since the real competition is not other chains. It's the rapidly expanding centralized world that is imposing itself on us as we speak. I wish all honorable projects a fair outcome in this whole situation. Oh, I'm biting my lip right now. Okay. At the end, I think Ethereum ecosystem will capture Solana's moat, but that time is not now. If you too think that time will come, good news, you can position for it. These are my biggest catalysts for ETH this year. 4844, bingo, will drastically reduce gas fees for L2s. A world where Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync, etc. is as cheap as Solana is a level playing field at attracting normies, memes, or whatever. New L2s will create new opportunities for airdrops and new apps that take off. A potential ETH ETF will create a speculative demand for ETH like nothing else. Even if it doesn't go through, people will buy in anticipation. Restaking is the most under-discussed catalyst for ETH, the asset. Not only will you have a deflationary asset with native yields, but potentially with Ponzi-like yields. If ETH approaches even close to 20% yield from restaking at any point, the demand will be massive, especially if the ETF brings in more traditional investors. Yeah, that could be okay. Basically, what I'm saying is this: we should all be happy that the bull market seems to be back and that we all have the opportunity to make money again in the coming year. If you disagree and are still bearish, then maybe this post isn't for you. Either way, enjoy the holidays and may golden showers rain upon Ethfinance dailies every week for the next year. I really love this post. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on this. I mean, I have some thoughts, but I think we've kind of beat the Solana in the daily shit to death, and we could move on.
So that poster is overqualified on Discord. He's one of the community managers for Gearbox and for Alchemix.
Oh,
deeply invested in this space and runs some of the best communities I'm aware of. Right. I've met him in person at conferences, and the same day that I wrote the post that I got duded, I poked him and said, can you come in and write something, because it's been a little depressive with all the Solana talk lately.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and wrote this, apparently.
Yeah, I immediately shared it with A-Word and the team for Daily Doots in a back channel, because I just wanted to personally nominate this. The only opinion I would share is like when Vitalik is talking about it's not us versus other blockchains, it's us versus the increasingly centralized world. I feel like if Solana has a play here, they are totally centralized and they'd be the perfect instrument for a centralized world because the hardware is not cheap. Like it's not common everyday hardware that people could even just buy a node to support the network, even if they're not investing funds. You know what I mean? Like it's too extravagant, and the buy-in is akin to being like a major miner. So it's not decentralized enough. I don't know why. I think there's two things here. There's the greed to go make money, to put it into other things that you believe in, and that's fine, right? And then the other side is like, are we championing decentralization, and is that our main focus? So you got to have both. Greed is healthy.
The death knell over on Solana, someone had a post, we had it on the Doots a week or two ago. That was like, what was the true computational cost? If you were to normalize the hardware, right, between Solana and Ethereum, is Solana actually more efficient than the Ethel one? It was like, it came out to like, yes, but only 2 to 3x. Whereas if you look at L2s and the, basically it's like block space compression, right? If you look at like the compression ratio between an L2 and the L1, it's more than 2 to 3x. So on a per hardware basis, our L2 solutions are more efficient at scaling than Solana. And once we get some of these fun things in there like proto-dank sharding, right, that it's going to be 10x that as well. It's already more efficient. So it's going to be maybe 5x more efficient. It'll be 50x more efficient, or 100x or 1000x more efficient. As more and more of these zero knowledge proof type things come online and supported, cheaper data availability layers come in supported, and we can rely on the base chain for less and less. So Solana's fundamentally, regardless of the high hardware and throughput, it's still a monolithic chain, in that every one of the nodes has to validate and sign every one of the transactions, right? Which obviously Liberasis has written a lot about, like the horrific inefficiencies of monolithic blockchains. And it's just to say that Solana is also going to run into fee congestion if it got into a serious use case. Like if it got into, I don't know, people try to do like medical NFTs that track the movement of drugs through one area of the hospital to the next until the point where it's administered or something, right? Something like Nightfall is doing. If they did that where they had millions, hundreds of millions of transactions per day on a system like that, it would just, you'd run out of space, and then you'd have a gas market, it'd get bid up, and then people would be hating on Solana. It's like, it's at this sweet zone where it's fast enough because it doesn't have any real use cases, and so transactions are cheap. And so the 50 degenerate gamblers that we have, they're doing like monkey coin trading, right? Or dog coin trading. Like, yay, it works for them, really cheap. I'm glad they found their niche for now. But before Solana, we had AVAX, which was kind of that niche. And we, right? There's a whole Alt L1 season full of contenders for that niche, and the PFP markets largely died. And so what are they left with? Like, what is Solana's killer app that isn't just a copy of something Ethereum has done? What's drawing users there? And when they get a killer app, and that actually has like really high demand for that throughput, how is that blockchain going to not run into gas fees that undercuts that demand the moment it becomes successful? Because it can't scale. It's only like 3x efficiency on Ethereum scale per hardware. So like, what's the play there, right? It's just this kind of like, hasn't been proven stupid yet, but inevitably will be if it succeeds. It will eventually be a victim of its own success if it succeeds at all.
Good points. Yeah. Well, it'll look different 6 months from now. Let's see where things are 6 months or a year from now. It's always, that's something I tell myself is, just the experience and the time in the space has been like, okay, this is happening now. Is it going to be is it going to be a thing 10 years from now that you can kind of make a case for? And I just don't know. I feel like Solana has all the hardware and the throughput and the capabilities to be an excellent L2 on Ethereum, but as a global settlement layer, I don't see the play.
It could very well be that. It could very well transition to an L2 on Ethereum, and then the Solana token would kind of be a governance for patching that L2. And it would be a fee token, but they wouldn't need the economic security and the issuance that comes from that, right? So they could reduce the inflation substantially, which is kind of important. I mean, right now when the price is rising, no one seems to care about it. But the second the price falls 99% again, people will be like, oh my God, the validators, they all dumped all this on us. And at one point, Solana was like, between unlocks and inflation, it was like $6 billion a year in deficit, basically. I don't know what the number is today, but it is a highly inflating coin at the moment.
And were we talking last week about the activity of how centralized the validating is, like concentrated in Wichita, Kansas, of all places? It was like there was like an abnormal amount of
it was like an abnormal amount of nodes moved from one to another in a conspicuously short amount of time. And it's just like with Ethereum. Just because you have two validators doesn't mean that that's two different people. Right. So you start looking at like what data center, what IP, you start looking at regionality and clustering in order to say like, okay, all the people that are in Wichita, Kansas, there's probably one person. And since those all moved there in a conspicuously short amount of time, we can conclude that 20% or whatever of the Solana validators are that guy, right? And then you just have like the cherry. When we talk about centralization, you'll hear, and I talked to someone from the Solana Foundation on this topic. They're like, oh, well, it has a better, Nakamoto coefficient than Ethereum. And it's like, that is Nakamoto coefficient's a cool thing. But how you measure it is highly subjective. Like they want to consider all of Lido one entity, even though it's got a bunch of different providers, the operators in there. So it's not 16 entities because it's 16 node operators. No, it's one entity because it's Lido. Coinbase, even though it's a corporation with thousands of people, and how many people would you have to actually corrupt to convince them to change rather than shut down? So if the U.S. court ordered Coinbase to fork the node for something they could control for whatever reason, would Coinbase shut down the service or would they comply?
Yeah.
Right? How many people do you have to convince to actually get them to fork the node? That's the Nakamoto coefficient.
Gotcha.
And I bet in Coinbase it's more than one. That's the thing, right? How many? I don't know, but I hope it's at least like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
In the company that would be responsible for like going on, like having the key to SSH onto the server and make that change and not have it be detected and reverted quickly, and whatever safeguards are in place. I hope they have it so it's not just like some dude with his Mountain Dew at like the data center keyboard can just go and corrupt all those nodes, right?
It's the guy playing a video game on the South Park episode with the Mountain Dew and the handprints.
So I hope that all of Coinbase's validators aren't ultimately corruptible by that one guy, or at least not corruptible without someone being able to revert it, right? So what's the Nakamoto coefficient? How you measure it really changes that. You can see how disingenuous they are when they're like, a validator for Solana is always an individual like one, and a validator for ETH is not, because people run multiple ETH validators, pretending that Solana doesn't run multiple validators, and then you get this evidence out of Wichita. They're intellectually dishonest and misrepresenting, or at least cherry picking facts in order to pump their bags.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that Wichita, Kansas has a massive suburb full of people that just happen to be, interested in running their own Solana validator node. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see that. But I don't know. Ethereum doesn't have its own misinformation arm.
Right.
That's not what the Ethereum Foundation does. That is what people from the Solana Foundation do. I've talked to them in person. This is what they do. they have their deck of facts that have been cherry picked in, which represents Solana in a positive light, and they speak their book pretty effectively. And they come off as sharp and believable, and if you aren't, I mean, they're sharp, like, and they're pretty good salesmen to that regard. Like, they're convincing in person. If you aren't a person with a pretty good bullshit detector, which requires some technical knowledge and having looked at alternatives and listened to contrarian viewpoints of those people, you'll be easily swept in and fooled, right? This is not something that, like, if I was to just put you in front of them for 5 minutes, the average person would be able to tell that he's right and I'm wrong, right? You and we can't expect the average blockchain denizen to have like PhD level knowledge in the underlying technology in order to not get scammed. We somehow have to come up with a better, like, I posted once or twice this week on like the Rabbit Hole Explorers Guide, which is a draft post I've had for like 10 months that hasn't been pushed out, right? On this, like, what you do once you have your first MetaMask wallet or your first Sol wallet or whatever, and then you want to go and try DeFi projects. How do you stop losing whatever money's on that wallet, right? How do you onboard that next level of skills so that you can go install like Rabby and know what transaction simulation is and install these things like Fire or Wallet Guard? Like, that would be examples of things that you would learn in the Rabbit Hole Explorers Guide. We need more material at that next stage, not the just like not the stuff you can find in like Bankless DAO's education or Coinbase's education for like, here's how you set up your Coinbase wallet. Like, yes, those are, you can show me how to click the buttons in order to have a wallet. But then if the first thing I do once I have it set up is get scammed, that's not good for our industry. So we're missing the transition, right? The sort of like Boy Scout survival skills. Here's how you make a fire, right? Here's how you stay warm at night. Here's how you don't eat the poisonous berries. Yeah, that part. That's what we're missing in DeFi.
We're teaching them how to build a fire, but not how to like cook the meat. So that's where I come in.
how not to eat the uncooked meat. Yeah, we need a JT to teach the DeFi denizens how to smoke. God damn it, we gotta smoke that meat properly.
That's right, DeFi rub.
So,
okay.
So we need that next stage of education to onboard users in a way that prevents them from falling prey to coherent and intelligent sounding people that are pounding the social media layer all day with cherry picked facts and misinformation and basically speaking their bag and executing super fizzes. Doot from this week, right?
Yeah, the Doot, his shitpost Doot was legendary. All right. Well, good. Thank you, Logri. We'll move on. Bob Rossi. Bob Rossi reflects on a year of delegate representation. In the spirit of year-end reflection and New Year's resolutions, I'm looking for feedback or suggestions regarding my delegating duties of ARB and HOP I've taken on this year. Asking as I'm relatively new to this and want to improve when I can. Don't be shy or hold back anything in feedback. For some context, my goal has largely been to take on these roles to help get some of the great minds on our Ethfinance a way to feel represented in governance. I'm not sure that has happened to the extent I've envisioned, but hopefully I'm making some impact and will grow into that in the future. Obviously, I have no way to tell who actually delegates to me, but I'm assuming a bulk of the people are those who post here. So figured this was the best place to ask. So in short, do let me know if there are things you think I can improve on or ways you felt I've let you down, as well as the things I've done that you would like to see me keep doing, even if you aren't specifically a delegate to me. And it goes on from there. Voting transparency, voting participation, the calls. He says he does try to attend the ARB and HOP calls when he can. Goes over some votes. And then there's a paragraph here that says our Ethfinance input. I know sort of the point of being a delegate is so that people don't have to worry about day-to-day minutia. However, I do want to feel out people's opinions on this. For notable, larger, more controversial topics, should I try to reach out for input more? Do people rather just me read the room and vote that way? I try to vote in a way that is best for the particular DAOs and the Ethereum chain. But again, I want to leverage the mind share that is here to do that, as I am still only human. Also, I want to reiterate that I welcome people to reach out. That doesn't happen much So if there are ways people think I can be more inviting, for lack of a better word, let me know. I'd love to be able to be a bridge between ideas here and ultimately discussion in front of the said DAOs. Updates, basically a mishmash of the above. I want to walk the line as best I can between over and under updating on issues. So thoughts on this would be appreciated. As far as Twitter goes, I really don't like Twitter, but I made one as I can't stick my head in the sand. I really don't use it that much. I'd be curious to those who think if I should use it more. I'm thinking maybe just doing updates there as well for those who follow. I don't want to dive into CT degeneracy, but I probably should use it as a space to get the updates out. Question mark? Bob Rossi, yes. Update everywhere you can. And Bob says, finally, a thank you. There isn't a day that goes by where I'm not aware of the number of people that trust me with this. I know governance isn't that sexy of a thing, but it's really cool that people feel they can trust their vote with me, and that isn't lost. Personally, Bob, post as often as you think necessary to get the feedback that we should be giving you. I think part of it is being a delegate and, trying to vote on things, you definitely need some feedback. I just feel like a lot of people are just apathetic. They just really are. They have a lot of apathy. And maybe if you did like just a a post every now and then that says what it is that you're voting on, what you're thinking about it, asking for feedback, keeping it short, tweeting it out, and then see what happens. You're not going to get in trouble or anything for, I mean, this is what Ethfinance is all about, right? So I don't think you could really overpost. I think, Bob, you've got such a good way to read the room, and I think you'd be fine doing whatever you feel is best. And I think what you're posting here is that you just sincerely need some people to give you feedback from time to time, especially if they're delegating to you, just to let you know they are reading and listening to you. An upvote would help, and maybe a quick, hey, thanks, Bob. That'd be the call to action. I would ask people to help spur on the conversation. I think you're doing a wonderful job. That's not, like you said, it's not sexy work, but somebody's got to do it. And we're damn glad that you stepped up and you can be a delegate on behalf of Ethfinance. Low Tech needs your help to push Coinbase into diversifying their stake. It would be great if we could give Arbora.eth a bit more publicity for this campaign to have Coinbase switch away from Geth. And the tweet is here, and I'm reposting it now. And I'm sure Arbora.eth has posted again today, 11 minutes ago. Let's see. Nope, that's the EIP 4844. Client diversity, I think, day 24, here it is. Day 24 of asking Coinbase to stop using supermajority client Geth as their sole Ethereum staking execution client. How does Coinbase compare to its decentralized multi-operator peers? Lido is 76% Geth, and Rocket Pool and Stakewise are only 42%. But Coinbase is 100%, right? So Arbora.eth, if you want to give it a like and a retweet every day that they post that every day, trying to ask Coinbase to switch away from Geth. Thanks for bringing that up on our daily again, Low Tech. Why don't you come and post that every day for us? And Low Tech is a duder number one, made the Weekly Doots. Congrats. Great job. Excellent day. All right. The Swingman points out the struggle newcomers would have in finding good crypto information. Boy, ain't that true. Okay. Interesting you're saying this today. I was just thinking about how lost a newcomer is in this space. Even if they found this subreddit, could you imagine the lost faith in crypto if they visited RCC or even our Ethereum first? I'm not so sure it would be obvious this is the place to trust or realize this sub is putting out the most critical, thoughtful info discussion. Imagine someone out there today, which I'm sure happens every day, says, today is the day I'm going to get into crypto. Ugh, I'm getting a migraine just thinking about being that person. Boy, no shit. Legitimately, I'm wondering where that person goes. The options are wild. Crypto, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, Discord, overall asking Google. Oh my gosh. of all of those could be very hit or miss, with more misses than hits. Even finding Coinbase and reading through their learning center can lead you down the wrong path. There's just so much to comprehend on a fundamental level. Then deciphering what is a quality crypto and why. This space is so polarized. For someone brand new, how quick they would learn the differences between ETH and BTC, or XRP for that matter, or literally any other crypto. What's the chances of them learning about LSDs or even the basics of DeFi? Here, Logri the Bard. Where's the drop off on the learning curve for most people? Thinking about if I was brand new, jumping into crypto today, air quotes, what would be the most helpful thing for me to learn and understand, and how would I find it? Off the top of my head, personally, I would like a flow chart, something that could help me visualize the crypto space, maybe a few versions of the flow chart, basic, intermediate, advanced, clickable keywords that give a pop-up of basic definitions. How would I find it? I don't know. Maybe this is where the Maverick funds go do some SEO and try to find its way on the first page of Google. The Swingman, great post, and yes, good self-reflection. Swingman is sitting at a duder number 5. Yeah, where do you go? I know that several of us have had like people that are, they walk into the daily for the first time. They're like, where the heck have you guys been, and lady? Like, I've started out on R Ethereum, and it was just like I found you on the sidebar, and I figured I would stop by and look. And after I went to the ETH trader or whatever, and then I found here, I'm like, okay, this is where like good conversation is happening. Although we're not perfect some days, but you know, I feel like we're very sticky. That especially in these new days, I feel like we're pretty sticky with newcomers that are coming to, they stick around longer. We lost a lot of OGs, but a lot of the OGs that I talked to, they reflect fondly on Reddit. They just kind of left Reddit altogether for greener pastures on Twitter. Now they're just freaking miserable. I'm like, well, you know, you guys can always come back and post in the daily, and it's like getting into a freaking Snuggie on the couch on a warm day sometimes, you know, with all the shit outside. But anyway, Swingman, great post and reflection on what do we do? How do we build that database? It's almost like a Khan's Academy for crypto, for lack of a better word. Personally, hopefully with like the maturing of the space. I know that Kansas University, I got to do a couple of presentations over there. There was a professor there that was running the blockchain in the business department. It was an elective, and I think it was worth credits, but it wasn't for any particular degree. But it was kind of like if you have an interest in learning about Bitcoin. And so the institutional side of it could be a gateway for at least a lot of young people in a structured environment to kind of learn the basics. I feel like what's the most important thing about crypto? I think it always goes back to unstoppable, decentralized, you know, those types of things. But I feel like crypto is like skewed into like, oh, it's another way of doing the database. Who cares about decentralization? I think that's the wrong approach. So, but anyway, good stuff, Swingman. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that. We got 2 more. Benito 2030. Oh, legend. Where's Benito 2030 on the chart? Climbing all the time. Benito 2030 is a Deuter 89. Ooh, top of the chart's getting there, right? Good stuff. Benito 2030 shares some thoughts on winning and not comparing to others. Oh, here we go. Some thoughts on winning. When I was a student, online poker became popular by chance. I don't even remember how. I found an online poker school that handed out $50 for free after passing a quiz. I started playing fixed limit on the low stakes. Well, because $50 isn't a lot, but I learned a lot. I became better. I moved up. When I reached to $5 to $10, still in FL fixed limit, I couldn't handle the daily swings anymore. After all, I was still a student. I had like $750 a month for everything, from rent to food to clothes to drinks. So being in a position of losing $1,000 on any given day, basically within 30 minutes, was too much for me. I played 3-6 for a long time, switched to NL at some point, and made it to NL 200 games, no limit. But I felt uncomfy again. I think I was a decent player, but nowhere near the best players on the high stakes, and could have moved higher with my bankroll and skill, but never did. I met a lot of high stakes players that made a lot of money, and I'm pretty sure I talked to Hasu a few times. A lot of friends made a lot of money just playing mid stakes, not even grinding nosebleeds. Later, I lost interest because I started working and didn't want to grind it day and night. As my second job, I joined a startup rather early, just after they had secured the first significant funding. The startup had created a new product, which turned out to be very successful. And I used the funding to do performance marketing. And within 3 years, the company grew from basically 100 to 1,000 FTE. A lot of high-profile people were hired, earning a lot more than I did, despite being assholes, not being a cultural fit, and also not delivering any meaningful results. But they were great politically. They knew what to say, when to say it, and how to impress the also rather young founders. I was living the culture, delivering, but earned like 50% and hated everything about the bullshit bingo guys. Damn, that's a good phrase. When a very good friend of mine quit his job, he still had some free time before his new gig started, and he asked me what to do with it. That was at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. I said, there's this crypto thingy, seems to be interesting. Maybe we dive it. We decided to invest $1,000 together. I was still very risk adverse and didn't feel comfortable putting money into something that went up and down so fast. So I was happy we did it together. We bought the literal top in January 2018 and got like 0.7 ETH on a Friday and made about $100 until Saturday. I still remember the euphoria. The day the market, the literal pico top of the cycle. I learned a lot, eventually starting living on chain, but never really participated in farming because I still dislike spending ETH for transactions I don't really need to do for a potential airdrop I might or might not receive. I did receive a lot of airdrops, but I'm also pretty sure that compared to others in here, my airdrops are tiny. Also, I had a NetTeller credit card connected to my Amazon account and basically ordered stuff for free as a student and bought a new small car just after finishing university because I had made $50K in online poker. God, this is amazing. While I was only earning 50% of the supposedly high flyers, my salary 2.5x'd within 3 years and I had way more money than I needed. And you are probably aware by now that spending and investing money is not a strength. I also started as a senior role, but at one point managed 150 people in 3 departments. While I probably should have invested earlier, farmed more. I should have way more ETH than I have now. I have received a decent amount on airdrops that are a huge boost to my portfolio. More importantly, I have learned a lot about investing, finance, how poorly I invested before, how many basic concepts I didn't fully understand, and how important it is to make conscious financial decisions. Don't compare yourself to the guys that make more money in poker, at work, or in crypto. Compare yourself to the guy in the mirror that wouldn't have played poker, that wasn't lucky to join a growing startup, that allowed you to grow a lot in a short amount of time, both financially, but also when it comes to responsibilities and hence your CV, or wouldn't have invested in crypto because that friend you needed would have said no. If there is one thing that I have learned, it's that comparing usually won't help you. It usually doesn't motivate. It actually kills motivation. It gives you a hard time emotionally. Don't compare yourself to the guy on Twitter that brags with that 7-digit P&L. Don't blame yourself for not receiving the next airdrop on 5 wallets instead of 1. Comparing doesn't make sense because your risk appetite is unique. If you accept that, you are defined by who and how you are. You will be able to accept outcomes way better. We can't expect to make millions if we don't invest a lot of time, money, and ETH. And that's okay. Celebrate the one airdrop like it was a lottery. Be happy about your first ETH like it was worth $1 million. Don't try to be or act different than you truly are, and you'll be winning. Holy shit, that was a banger. Benito 2030, freaking amazing. Amazing. Great job, dude. Well said.
Still here despite buying the Pico top. Yeah, that's someone that eventually caught the bug and like learned about some values, right? Learned about themselves. Like this space will teach you a lot. And he stuck through it, and it's obviously worth that.
Care about the profit in a bowl, care about the tech in the bear. Unless you're me, then you're just like here for the long haul because it's freaking awesome. All right. Wow. Okay, the 2024 predictions thread. This is it. I'm going to open all these up. We got Logri the Bard, Who Village, PA7X1, Sourdough Pretzel 4444, Web of Trust, and then the entire thread itself. Let's just check it out. Logri the Bard, reflecting on some predictions I made last year. This is from 12 days ago. This is the predictions that Logri made last year. Number one, ETH would crab between $1,000 and $2,000 all year. This one appears to have been directionally correct. Nothing about an ETF approval was on my radar at the beginning of the year. It really wasn't until Grayscale won their lawsuit against the SEC that the winds changed here, and that was towards the middle of the year. The recent price action seems to mostly have been driven by the ETF narrative. Number two, Fed rates would basically hold all year. Stablecoins market cap would shrink as money was extracted to T-bills, and then the evidence. Number three, we'd see the first Treasury bill RWAs. This would become a major thing by the end of the year. High Fed rates basically killed a fledgling mortgage RWA industry. What is RWA, Logri? Sorry.
Real world assets.
Real
world assets. Okay. At number four, the ETH exchange reserve would continue to fall by 6 million per year, leading us 1 year closer to a supply crunch. We started the year at 18.4 mil. We're currently at 14.3 mil, so that's another miss. This one is more heartbreaking to me. Given that Coinbase is the custodian for most ETFs, I actually expect this figure is going to stall even further next year. It's really starting to break my supply crunch hypothesis. I had a lot of hope writing on that one. And then it goes on from there. Several points. Talk about stablecoin market cap, restaking. The ETFs are too hotly anticipated. While I do think like in 5 to 10 years, there'll be 100 billion in those ETFs invested in crypto. How much demand is really going to materialize on day one that isn't already absorbed into Grayscale products? You think 5 to 10 years for 100 billion? I kind of disagree. I think it's going to go much faster, much higher than that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. This is why it's a predictions thread. We can all have our opinion and be wrong.
Yes, that's true. Maybe I should put my prediction in writing.
I think there has already been stock market exposure available. Even if it was indirect through MicroStrategy or Coinbase or like a Grayscale product. An ETF does provide like a common interface. I heard it said that an ETF is kind of like an ERC20 in that it provides a common interface in the financial space. And that helps certain funds get into it once it's, got like SEC approval, right? The risk profile is changing. So I don't doubt that's going to create new inflows. But what is the percent over what we have right now? 10x? Cool. 1000x? Maybe not. And over what time horizon? On day one, when it launches, is it going to be a trickle or a flood?
Right.
I expect it's going to be a trickle as people like dip their toe in, right? And then once it is out and it has been proven to be functioning for a quarter or something, they'll go and sell those ETFs to their clients. Saying like they want to rebalance their portfolio and put one or two into this new emerging asset class and But like that's going to take a while. So I think on day one, if people are expecting like billions of inflow, I just think you're going to be disappointed.
There is a measure of certified financial planners that have probably been chomping at the bit for this to open up because they cannot custody on behalf of their clients. And they have a lot of clients that don't want to mess with private keys, but they can't do anything other than teach, help them understand how to secure crypto. But if you're a certified financial planner,
why couldn't they sell them GBTC?
Well,
why, if everything you said is true, then there are products that make that available.
Because the certified financial planners they can't advise. If I'm not mistaken, they are legally obligated not to advise on assets outside of, certain realms. So the GBTC, yeah, but this ETF stuff is going to open up a lot of different rails that are, with.
Yeah, because it's got a common interface and because it lowers the risk profile. So it will open up new spaces. I'm not saying it won't be big. I'm saying I think people are anticipating a flood out the gate, and I'm expecting just kind of a trickle that picks up over time. And in the long run, it will be significant.
Yep.
But $100 billion of inflows will cost more than $100 billion of market cap, right? Like, just look at the verbiage I use there. It's I'm not saying, right? So if you get $100 billion of inflows, that might be $1 trillion of market cap, and that would be great. But I just don't think it's going to happen on day one. I think it's going to happen over several years.
I see. Yeah. Now that you frame it that way, I get that. All right. Hurug's predictions, at least full chain rug pull for the optimism stack. That's a hot take. Number 2, at least one big restaking scam. Number 3, no stage 2 general purpose rollups. ETH gets spot ETF approved. Wall Street guys help spread the main positive Ethereum narratives like low energy, real yield, burn, etc. That's true. I like that. Number 5, BTC dominance to below 33.3%. Number 6, DIVA will be the most successful decentralized staking protocol in 2024. I think they're kind of hockey sticking right now. Number 7, 4844 will not reduce gas fees on L2 at all, thanks to inscriptions and other bull market spam. Number 8, thanks to 5, DA solutions like Celestia and EigenDA will get a lot of attention and pump hard. Number 9, full blobs and bull market will bring Ethereum's 2024 average fees to over $25 million a day. Number 10, there will be less than 119 million ETH by the end of 2024. Number 11, Pudgy Penguins will be the first big NFT success story. Number 12, Base will become the main degen chain of the cycle. Number 13, Arbitrum, Arbitrum will continue to be the most trusted L2 for whales. Number 14, Solana will be number 3 at some point. And number 15, ETH to $8,000. That's full bull case because it's just more fun that way. Thank you. Who Village, Deuter 4 on the list. Moving on, PA 7X1.
Boy, is he is bullish on gas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That everything he was saying, like, yeah, there's going to be some rugs on the way, but most of that narrative said we're going to have a lot of demand for the chain, and a lot of it's going to be bull market spam of things like inscriptions, and like that's going to drive everything. We're going to burn more than 1 million ETH next year. Is what you're saying, right? We're going to have so much demand for block space that even if we make it 10x cheaper, it's still going to be the same price as today. Like, wow, that's very bullish on gas. We'll see. PA 7X1, and now my Deuter 33, and now my end of the year prediction for Ray. Oh, I think Ray will go for the sleigh in the second half of the coming Bitcoin halving. Example starting in late 2025 until the next halving. The Bitcoin halvings have acted as a cyclical pattern during Bitcoin's life. Initially, it was simply a matter of causing supply shock. Suddenly, on a given day, the amount of Bitcoin that enters the market to be sold is cut in half. Initially, miners need to sell more of it, lowering their margins or tapping into reserves, which causes a dip. Then, as reserves go thin and the new steady state of the half of the amount of Bitcoin entering the market becomes normal, and given the same buying pressure in fiat terms, it tends to cause a price spike. Now,
a new effect is taking place. The miners are themselves playing the halving cycle. There are a few miners publicly listed, so we can see what they are doing. During the last couple of years, 2021 and 2022, miners have gone to the equity and debt markets to raise capital very significantly. That is, instead of selling Bitcoin at these prices or going bankrupt because they can't cover their costs at bear market prices, they finance their operations through stock and debt issuance. So they get indebted during bear markets and they will have to recoup during bull markets. What I think will happen is that when Bitcoin starts to get frothy again due to halvening in the ETF, they will start unloading BTC against the bull market buyers. This will be the self-fulfilling cause of the bear market. At some point, they will have to unload heavily all the Bitcoin they've been accumulating during 2023 and 2024, and they will unload heavily in 2025 and 6. Unlike Bitcoin, ETH won't have those forced sellers. And although it's unlikely that it can resist the bear market on its own yet, I think it's very possible that it will show very surprising resilience. This may cause a flight to quality, and ETH becomes the safe haven during the next bear market. Coupled with the forced selling of BTC miners, we may end up having a nice setup for the flippening. Longer term, ETH should decouple from the halving cycles. As it becomes a bigger asset and market cap, the effects of Bitcoin's halving dynamics will have less of an impact. That is a really good prediction. I like that. PA7X1, thank you very much. Moving on, Sourdough Pretzel 4444. A few predictions I have for 2024, mostly US related. Everyone loves this time of year. You know it. Give in. Disclaimer, not all these will be popular with this, but I welcome criticism because I know literally nothing. Sourdough Pretzel 44 sits at 12 on the Doots list. Number one, each BTC goes up, likely around 0.07 to 0.08, but nothing anywhere close to a flip. Sol ETH ratio also continues to go up. Oh, God. We will see a significant increase in layoffs due to AI. Number four, the Fed will loosen monetary police as a result of increased unemployment, especially in middle class. We will see a corporate airdrop of a social business related token NFT that has actual monetary value. Over 50% of ETH Layer 1 fees are bought by Layer 2s. EIP 4844 goes swimmingly, of course. And number 8, DPIN, led by Helium, take over as a major narrative. Number 9, GameFi continues to disappoint, but IMX outperforms anyway. And finally, number 10, Coin, the stock, goes to the moon, mostly because user 15K is FUD sold yesterday. Excited for the new year. That is Sourdough Pretzel 44. Great prediction. Moving on to Web of Trust, Duder 33. Number one, there will be at least one L2 in the top 10. More than half block space is produced by L2s. Number two, hate to be that guy, but Lido continues to dominate and no flippening. Number three, Eigenlayer has more than 20 billion locked in. Number four, an L2 rug pull. Number five, RWA narrative, real world assets narrative to catch up in quarter 1 and 2 post ETF approval. And finally, number 6, low triple digit scaling solutions on L2 beats. That's courtesy of Web of Trust. Moving on, 5K is on the table according to IC Lingonberry 5007. Let's see. Benito 23 says we'll drop some and maybe add some more later. Number one, Sol will be down twice. One time, the narrative will be because it's so successful. Number two, Uniswap will deploy on Solana and it will not be successful. The implications of this will be very interesting. Number three, one L2 will reach a 25 billion market cap. This will likely be caused by this cycle's Uniswap moment, aka a new product that will be very successful and new and attracts lots of users. And finally, number four, 2024 will be more sideways than anticipated. The macro will be the issue, maybe inflation trending up again, and rate cuts not coming. The ETFs will do okay, but not as hot as expected. Let's see, is that the general thread? Let me see if I had some other tabs here before we wrap. Let me go back to the Doots list here. Okay, so I got everybody. So that was the general thread. Since there was 58 comments, what I'm going to do real quick, I'm not used to new Reddit. Let's sort by best. We'll see what the best was according to the Reddit algo. Canadians 1993. If I staked ETH, ETF is launched 25,000, otherwise 14.5. There's Logree's post. Labrov says $12,000 USD this year. I said 44.44, then crab to 33.33. Monkey hold 99, $8,000. SYZ Syzyg 0078. I'm going to be that guy at some point in 2024. We get the flippening. And then it goes from there. Web of Trust, Who Villages lists. Looks like that's about it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this show real quick because I have to get to a meeting. Really appreciate everybody hanging out this final Weekly Doots podcast for the year. This is 49 episodes that we've done this. So I have to give a big shout out to all of the gang running behind the scenes, including all of you in the audience that have just been hanging out. And, we've just had a really good time with it. Thanks to Hanniabu for dailydoots.com, Tricky Troll for doing the day every day. That's a hell of a job that you do, my man. And of course, the A word for curating this beloved weekly list. Stick around after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EVMavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.